Yep, I hear you.
Okay. All right. We should be up on everything. You hear me go?
Yep, I hear you. But
Okay.
I only hear you on the stream, not on Discord.
All right. We should be up. Wait, what?
I have to keep the stream on of audio on so I can hear what you're saying.
But you can't hear me in Discord? All right.
Your voice isn't moving on Discord. It's fine though. I get to listen to my own voice.
Hey. Sounds sexy. All right, y'all. We're live
You
on
know,
the
you gotta pat the ego a
Facebook.
little bit.
Live on the Facebook. Live on the YouTube.
Where's the YouTube? I can't find the stream on YouTube.
Uh, it's not popping
Oh,
up.
there we go. It is live. Let's go. This is a major victory, I just gotta say.
Mm. All right. So we're back on minor technical difficulties, but it doesn't matter because it's Friday,
Major victory.
you know. So cheers to a wonderful Friday.
Yep.
We're just talking about Dogecoin here. Pretty interesting.
Here's my cup.
What's that? Oh, what's going on
I went
here?
like this before with no cup,
With no
but I
cup?
have like 3 cups in front of me, so
So we got Dogecoin racking up at 70 cents. We were talking about this a little earlier. This is pretty interesting. You got the Dogecoin making an appearance, and specifically this really random but funny post on Twitter that Elon obviously does, trolling the internet, letting folks know he's going to make an appearance. So the question really becomes, is it going to hit $1? I put in some money. How about you guys?
heck of mysterious. I put in some money.
I mean, what's your thoughts? What's your gut telling you, man? What are we thinking here? It's gonna hit a buck, buck 50.
It's so hard, man. It's so hard.
All right, all right. So we'll see. Got
It's
Elon
like
Musk.
this is where I'm keep having the dilemma is I'm just like a super technical
Oh, let's see the cut.
trader, and so my brain my brain tells me this is silly.
It's a little silly. It's a little silly. Let's see Elon Musk here. Let's see what happens. Elon. I wonder if Miley Cyrus is going to say anything about it. But it's pretty interesting, right? We have Dogecoin coming out swinging pretty hard. I took a graph open really quick. Even a month ago, like 6 cents. What the? And it starts picking up, picking up, picking up, picking up. And ultimately, in the last week,
It's
so looking at
insane.
this chart, man, 65 cents, 70 cents. I'll admit, I messed up on 420. I bought in at the 40 cent mark. Thought it was going to make an appearance in the 60, 70 cent range, like it did, but I hung on to it. And specifically, right now, I actually bought May 5th when it hit the 60 cent mark, just because, you know what? We'll see what happens. If it drops below 50 cents, I'll sell off. I bought a lump sum at about 5, 6 cents that I've been hanging on to. I know a few other folks have done the same. So we'll see what happens. We will see.
I did not make. I made a mistake because I was playing with my emotions, so I made an emotional decision, and I Shark Boy. What up, Shark Boy?
Yo, shark in the house. I think we have to have a specific entrance for our folks here. But Tesla is interesting too because they bought 1.5 billion
Here's
worth
the
of
thing with
Bitcoin.
Doge.
Hmm.
Here's the thing with Doggy.
Yeah, keep going. What's the dealio? Chill deal. All right, there, chill deal. Look like you froze on me. But yeah, like I was saying, 1.5 million worth of Bitcoin. He's all in. The meme stock, on the other hand, so it's interesting. He's an influencer in and of himself on Twitter, just by virtue of being, one of the richest people on this planet. So 1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. Um, some think that he is moving the stock up a little bit here, specifically on Dogecoin to cash out. So we'll see what happens Saturday night, Sunday morning, when he makes his appearance and buys or sells his fair shares, if you will. We'll see. It's pretty crazy. And Tesla shares going up 1.3% higher on Friday. 700, 600, sorry, 72 doll hairs. So we'll see what we do here. So that said, we'll get a little game going here.
Get that. I'm back.
Yeah. Let's get this going and keep Doge on the side here. You want to talk a little
But
bit
it's
about the
it's
yeah.
diminishing returns on Dogecoin. So like when you're holding at 5 cents, this stream delay thing is mess with me. But when you were holding at 5 cents, it it made sense to hold it because a move to 10 cents was at 100% gain.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But when it's at 70 cents, it has to move 70 more cents to make 100%.
Right.
So as the price goes up, it's harder and harder to make returns if you're buying in at that price.
Exactly. Exactly. Which brings me to kind of a weird dilemma. You and I were talking about this earlier this
So for
week.
me, if I'm buying it at 70 cents,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
sorry dude, I can only hear you in the stream and it's messing up my responding to you.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Keep going.
But if I'm buying it at 70 cents, then I'm having an expectation of only making gains to $1. It's already, what is it, the
Fourth.
fourth or fifth largest market cap
Fourth. Yeah.
of all the coins, and you can't do anything with it.
Well, I don't know because Mark Cuban's looking at
Which,
accepting
if
it.
you think about the other stocks, like okay, Bitcoin, sorry, keep going.
No, 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 it's good. Mark Cuban and the Mavericks are going to start accepting Dogecoin as payment, right? Texas. Ooh. Just close Discord. Sorry. There we go. Sorry about that. Shifting between panels. All right.
Yeah,
There goes
so
that one.
that's what it is. It's just like just throw a couple $100 in there like you did, and then just write it out, you know, and be okay with losing that $200 or making money on that $200.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was getting emotional because I was temporarily on my growth stocks.
Right.
I hear you now in Discord.
Okay. There we go. Sorry about that, everybody.
It's all good. I lost more in Vegas. There we go. It's weighing your odds.
Let's go. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on this Dogecoin. Curious to see how it starts working itself out. It's moving forward tonight, tomorrow night. But yeah, Mavericks. I think Mark Cuban was saying they're going to start accepting Doge at the Mavericks, and I think some other folks are looking at it to accept as well. Growth stocks. Yeah. You want to hop into that one maybe a little bit, Bill? Talk about some of the
Yeah.
growth stock opportunities that we've been checking out and kind of how
Yeah.
kind of market's
So
taking a turn a little bit.
yeah. So essentially, what we're noticing going on is that there's a rotation happening in the market. So obviously, growth stocks have been selling off for the last. Would they make a high out in February, I think, and they've basically
Mm-hmm.
been selling off since like early March or late February, I think. Not all of them. Basically, all growth stocks except Facebook, Google, Microsoft, and we talked about last week why we thought that was.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Mm-hmm.
just making a lot of money on ad revenue.
Right.
Facebook said that their ad revenue growth through 30% in Q2, and someone who's works in advertising, like people are just spending more and more, and that's where a lot of this growth is coming for these advertising platform companies like Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Microsoft. Like there's a reason these companies are the biggest tech companies in the world because they've
Mm-hmm.
learned how to leverage data and let people use that data to make money for their business, and they make a lot of money off that. But that's a different topic. So so yeah, so growth stocks have been kind of just selling off altogether. Also, my camera's off on the thing again for some
Yeah,
reason.
I'm working on that. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. We're having a
Trying to
lot of
figure out why
technical
it's not
difficulties this week
going.
for some reason. Let me turn it off and turn it back on. Um, but yeah, so there's basically uh, there's a market rotation, and so obviously it sucks when you're holding a bunch of growth stocks because that means you're losing money, but it's positive for the overall markets,
Mm-hmm.
um, because you want things to slow down when a stock moves. Like let me just put a popular one for people like PLTR. Um, they went up from like $10 to like $50, and now they've moved back down to $19. Like it sucks if you bought at $40, but that's really healthy for the overall market. And so you're just seeing this rotation out of tech and out of growth stocks holistically right now. And That's why you have things that are moving late in the market, like financials, uh, materials, um, dividend stocks, things like that are moving in the market now, and it's because they haven't been moving during basically a lot of COVID because we were in there's a tech another tech boom happening because everyone's home and you're seeing this crazy growth for all these tech companies and all these SPACs were going public and people were excited about them and it was easy to get in on a company that you felt like was undervalued and an amazing technology for the future. Um, but now what you're seeing is just a rotation. And so we have a couple stocks that we're looking at for dividend plays. One is we
Okay.
talked about for the last 2 weeks was Nokia. So we talked about last week that this is potentially a dividend play that, or it's a dividend stock it's a growth stock disguised as a dividend play. And so Nokia's been putting a lot of investment into their 5G and working with other companies to, get their 5G up and running or accelerating people's networks, things like that. Uh, so that's a stock that we've been calling out for the last couple of weeks, and I think they're up 10 or 15% since we first talked about them, and I think they're at like a 2 or 3% dividend.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one that we like. Um, circa 2000. Um, so yeah, so that's one we like quite a bit. Um, it should have a little bit pullback here going into next week, just because it's ran quite a bit, but it's definitely something to hold potentially over the next year as some of these growth stocks pull back quite a bit. A couple other ones. AT&T is another one that I like. This is something that I was eyeing back at like 26 or 25 bucks. And so this one really hasn't moved at all during basically since the pullback happened in the markets back when COVID first happened. So that's another stock that we like quite a bit. That's another dividend stock that with the launch of HBO Max or Plus or whatever they call it, getting a lot of subscribers on there. Uh, they're
Yeah.
digitalizing their business, and
Talking
so
AT&T.
that
Sorry.
yeah, so that's
Yeah.
bringing down they're basically increasing their margins because they're making everything digital. So I think that's another good long-term play. They moved quite a bit. I think they're up at like 31, 32 bucks.
Yep.
They're
32.16
a
now.
little overbought technically right now. So
Right.
maybe another small pullback. Oh, 6% dividend, even better.
Yeah.
But like
I'm gonna
expand that chart
close.
more.
Yeah. I'm gonna reset Discord really quick, and then I'll
Okay.
open it up.
Thank you all for tuning in though.
One sec.
We appreciate it. That's 5 people, 6 people. Let's go.
Sorry. It's Friday night. Technical
Uh,
difficulties for whatever
yeah,
reason.
so AT&T. Is
There
my
we
voice
go.
on the chat?
Got you back. All right. Hopefully that's the last time we have to deal with that.
Miracle worker. But yeah, AT&T is another one that I like quite a bit.
This is
Um,
Yeah, ADT is a really good stock. I actually have a couple calls on them, long
if you
call
go,
options.
if you
Yeah.
expand the chart up there, Nate, to like the last year,
Yep.
from 1 month to maybe 1 year, or maybe a 5 year. Go 5 year.
Okay. They're down 17%, but over a 5 year span,
Yep.
it's all
So
relative.
basically, look at that pre-COVID, where they're at 40 bucks pre-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they can keep growing their digital video business, like why would you not buy this at a 6% dividend? Saying that if it just gets back to pre-COVID levels, which is 40 bucks, what's that math? I can't remember what that math is, but that's I think another great pickup for a dividend play and something that hasn't moved quite as much as it probably can.
Yeah. I know Netflix is getting worried. Their market share is getting a bit
Yep.
torn apart. But
And that puts me to my next stock, Viacom. So Viacom
come up.
was in a big mess about a month ago. because of some weird train that happened on, and I can't remember what it went to. It went from like 50 or $80 down to $30,
Mm-hmm.
which is absolutely berserk. That's insane. And people lost a lot, or $40, and people lost a lot of money. But when you actually look at their business, they launched they didn't launch, they rebranded Paramount Plus, and they also have the video streaming service Pluto, I think is what it's called. And so they're kind of going through a similar process as AT&T, but they're not as advanced into the stage yet,
Yeah.
where they're starting to get a lot of subscribers to Paramount Plus because they're launching um, a lot of new content on there.
Right. And then you get
And
Discovery. Yeah.
yep, Discovery, yep, exactly. And so I think they said this quarter they just released their earnings. They beat revenue by like 2 or 3%, but their um, earnings per share, like they beat by like 30 or 40%. So basically that
Oh
means
yeah.
that some of their costs are coming down.
Dominated.
Um, yeah, they dominated, and so some of their costs are coming down, and so they said they actually expect costs to come down even more next quarter because they had to spend $2 billion for
I
like
get it.
for show production, for putting a lot of advertising into Paramount Plus. There's a lot of new expenses that are not going to exist in a couple quarters.
Right.
So that's another dividend play. I think they're like 2 or 3% dividend.
Yeah.
Um,
2.5 almost.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
And then
I think that's
Discovery.
another good one to look at
Right.
for
They're all
like
kind
the
of
next
running the
couple
same
years.
chart, ironically. Discovery, Viacom. There's kind of a pattern there.
There we go.
Those folks. Discovery, their PE ratio is 25.
Yeah, I think Viacom's like 10 or 11,
Mm-hmm.
right? Their
Mm-hmm.
PE ratio.
Yeah, they're 8.71 right now. But yeah, I think to your point, their earnings per share rose to 1.52 buck 52 from a buck 12.
Yep.
So I mean, it's a viable option.
And assuming their costs are going to come down more next quarter because they're transitioning from traditional media like movies to digital streaming, then in theory their costs should come down some more as well. So their earnings per share will jump even more,
Right.
and hopefully their revenue jumps as they get more of these monthly subscribers, paying
They're
whatever
looking
10
healthy too.
10
I
or
mean, look
eight
at their
bucks a month.
quarterly, their annual revenue, fiscal performance. They're killing it. Up 400 on net profit margin, 400%. That's
So
pretty
those are just
amazing.
a couple of the ones that I personally really like and that I'm keeping an eye on. I haven't bought any yet, but I think if I get a little small pullback in the next couple of weeks on them, then I might buy in at these levels. I think there's a nice little dividend, and then I think there's a chance for them to move like 30% more over the next year. So those are a few that I
Cool.
really like.
Good for your guy. Ooh,
It's getting hot in here. It's getting hot in here.
boom, that. Rumble. This one's over. So yeah, for me, I mean, I'm looking at. So the beauty here is if you buy in now, they're probably going to go up 10, 20 bucks by the end of the year at least. But I'd be looking at the options. The thing is, you have to look at the if you're looking at dividends when they're going to cash out or give dividends. Because if you hold stock options, they don't pay the dividends because you technically don't own the stock. You own the right to purchase the stock. So that's been something that I've been looking at. But you were talking about Nokia, I think, too, right?
Yep.
A little bit. So dividend yield 2.25% almost. They're looking pretty good quarterly and
Mhm.
all that. So yeah, I bought a couple of shares of long calls on Nokia as well as AT&T, and then I might actually exercise the option before the earnings and dividend payouts. That's also
Who?
kind of good.
Which one?
AT&T and Nokia.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, that team was going up. All right.
But yeah, those are the main value ones. I'm still doing some more research in some other stocks on the value side of things. So I'll definitely have some more to talk about next week. Some other ones that I like. Some of the value stocks that I like have actually ran quite a bit in these non-growth sectors or these non-growth stocks. So I like them. I just think they've ran too much. So yeah, I'm looking for some more undervalued stocks.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Hertz. It hurts so good. They're down a little bit today, but we talked about them in the
They
last
had a
few
crazy run.
weeks.
They got to pull back.
Yeah, yeah, got a little overheated, if you will. But I mean, they were at $1.20 back in April. I've been eyeing them for some time, but as I mentioned last week,
Yeah.
bankruptcy, Chapter 11, etc. They're looking at getting new management in as well, which I think will bode well. Oh no! Oh,
Dang it.
bode well for them. Um, yeah, they're saying it's going to be modestly undervalued. That's definitely something that I'm taking a peek at as well. And I've
Yep.
already
Yep.
bought quite a few stocks. I'm kind of doubling down on what my prior holds were on that. Just because I think there's an infinity opportunity with them if they're able to become solvent in the next few months, specifically with the travel industry picking up. The
Did you see
unfortunate
with
part,
they're actually trying, some company is trying to, I don't know if it's buy them or not buy them, but basically pay their debts, but they're trying to change. I don't know. I didn't read all the details on it. I'm trying to see if you could bring up a news about it. Let me see if I can find it. It came out this week. Bring it up.
yeah, where they're trying to reconsolidate the debt and own them. I think there's a
Shoot,
couple
they
of them
released
trying to do that.
earnings today?
I know there's a couple of them trying to buy them out in the bankruptcy groups.
Oh, they released their earnings today, by the way.
Yeah, which
I don't see that.
ironically their stock went down, considering that I think they were anticipating. I'll have to go back to the earning call, but
It said Hertz posted lower Q1 revenue. Let's see what it says here.
yeah, but that's kind of expected.
1.3 billion compared to 1.9 a year earlier.
And a loss of 11.63 a share. Yeah, the operating margin's negative 20%, but that's a given considering what's going on. Because the big play is going to be actually what might hurt them is the fact that they sold off all they liquidated
Their
their
assets,
inventory. Yeah. And there's a hot market right now for used vehicles because of the
Yep.
chips. They can't build enough vehicles to flood the market, so there's a strong there's a strong play right now on used vehicles, which now ironically Hertz is going to have to go back and buy the cars they sold off
for double.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what's going to hurt them in the
Yep.
short term, but they're going to definitely make up for it as travel starts picking up. The airlines are going to they're making a comeback. They're actually starting to add their fees that they used to have prior to COVID to make up for some of their lost revenue. Start picking up, so it's interesting.
Why do you think Hertz had such a loss in revenue? Because in my thought, I would think that they should have a higher revenue than they did during COVID last year.
Higher revenue in the first quarter.
Yeah, because first quarter's through. I guess that's before. That's before COVID, I guess.
Right.
Actually, I'm curious what what the expectations are for their revenue next quarter. because if they're undervaluing the gap that's going to show next quarter,
Yeah.
then that's going to be
I
crazy.
mean,
Like
projected. Oh, they
they
already
basically
have
went to
20.
zero revenue less than I guess would be
Oh, they were.
Q2 for them.
Yeah, yeah. They're negative. I mean, annually, they just got their booties whacked. Net profit margin down 5,500%, right? Which is obviously why they bankruptcy. But I think the reorg, they get the right leadership in, they'll be just fine. I just need them to come out of where they're at.
Yeah, they need to get off the OTC market.
Exactly. And then they're just going to be that much more legit. It's going to go, I don't know. It's going to be up there with all the other car companies
I think
in the travel
that's the
industry.
risk you're taking is how quick can they get out of bankruptcy and
Right.
how quick can they get off the OTC market.
And I think that's where everybody's buying in on right now. Get in early. Some people are obviously sold off. They bought the dollar range or whatever. All right, we're about to miss. Okay.
Get this dub.
Oh, good block.
You know how I do. Oh, I can't get there.
Oh, gee.
Excuse me.
Ooh. Yeah, but Hertz is definitely one of my picks. And we keep talking about it because it's important.
Dang it.
No way.
Welcome to the chat, whoever came in. We got 2 people. Not sure who's in there, but
GG.
welcome.
So
We're just
that
talking about Hertz stock.
yeah, Hertz S&P is pretty interesting. It kind of had like a bull run. It dropped last week. I think you were talking about just kind of the cycle from tech to farm to tech again. I'm still trying to figure out where the market's going with all this.
Yeah, I'll do some chart analysis in a little bit, kind of breaking down the indexes. And I think the main thing is just there's a rotation out of high growth
Mm-hmm.
stocks right now. And so what makes it interesting about the S&P 500, the S&P 500 compared to the Nasdaq is a mix of tech, financials. There's a lot of different industries thrown in there, but with the QQQ Nasdaq
Mm-hmm.
is that's only tech companies. And so if we start seeing a pullback in some of these big tech companies like Facebook, Google, that doesn't mean we're going to see the same drawback in S&P 500 because
Right, they're weighted differently. Yeah.
yeah, you're seeing these other stocks start to perform, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
so as those other stocks perform, those are going to keep the S&P up a little bit more.
Right. It's more
So,
balanced portfolio index.
yeah, and you saw the Dow break out this week. The Dow was
Mm-hmm.
the only one that broke out and stayed up. I think S&P pulled back a little bit, but the Dow Jones broke out and is up above its all-time high, and that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of the picture we're talking about with the rotation that's happening. And
Right.
so I think the Dow Jones probably still has a little bit more up to go. So I would be looking at stocks in the Dow or buying, the Dow ETF,
Right.
because I think
Yeah.
there's still a little bit more run there because it, basically people who are in the growth stocks has pulled some of their money to Dow stocks in the Dow Jones.
Right. More stable,
Yeah,
if you will. But I mean, the other one I'm looking at is SQQ. I'm
yeah.
I'm looking at it. I don't know what's going to happen, but this is a leveraged ETF, so you just have to be careful because it's 3 times whatever
Welcome all 3
happens in the
people.
index. Hey, welcome, welcome. Whatever happens in that specific index, it inverses it by threefold. So you just have to be very, very careful about what you're doing. I looked at it and was like, shoot, it's $11 right now because the tech stocks are doing so well. Why not buy a few here? I mean, it's down 100%. Um, in the last year, it's down 78%. But I mean, you look at the opportunities here, and it just keeps shrinking, shrinking. At some point, something's going to happen. And then the same thing, SP not XL. That's the bull for the S&P.
SPXS.
Thank you, XBSS. That's another one that I've been looking at as well. It's the bear of the S&P 500. You're essentially playing against S&P and the rallies that are happening. So when that goes up, this one will go down and vice versa. So it's just something to keep an eye on.
I
Like I
would
said, either
short
contribute.
the SQQ first. I think that's gonna have more potential downside than the S&P 500.
Right, right. And I mean,
Just for people listening.
yeah, you just labeled it too perfectly, saying, the stocks are weighted differently. QQQ is more heavily weighted towards tech stock by X-fold, as opposed to S&P, where the top, I don't know, 7 or so are tech, but it's evenly distributed
Tesla,
across
some
many
other things in
universe.
there.
Right, right. So it doesn't take that big of a hit.
We got 4 people. Whoever's listening, can you please put a W in the chat or say put a hi in the chat? Trying to get some engagement here. Ask us your
Any
questions.
questions? Yeah,
We're just
I
not
mean,
here to gab at you.
right.
We want to hear what you got questions you got too.
Yeah. Need to mention, yeah, we're not financial advisors or anything, so please don't take what we say and invest your money in it, unless it's Doge. I'm kidding. Completely kidding.
Put your life savings.
Yeah, no, no, no. But,
That was a joke. To clarify, anybody
yeah,
listening.
yeah, yeah. So the content
And
we're providing here.
if anybody's telling that on YouTube to put your life savings in Dogecoin, then I need to tell you you need to unsubscribe to that YouTube channel and subscribe to Stock Talk Game because we're not giving you that shit advice.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Dogecoin's at what, 70 cents
People,
again?
let's go.
It's at 70
Five
cents. That's what
people.
happens.
This is a win. I also want to quickly highlight that this week
What's going on?
we had our first 100 view YouTube video, which is a big W.
Oh yeah, congrats to us, and thank you everybody for hopping on
Yep.
to watch us. I'm gonna restart my stream or Discord again really quick. I don't know why it keeps bumping you out. So I can do a little reset here on our hardware. Go like this. Go like that. So we're just chilling here tonight every
First of all,
Friday.
Jake, the biggest shout out, especially with your kids. Second, because you
Oh
tune
yeah,
in
man.
every week and you a real one, Jake. Whenever we make our first NFT, you're getting it, Jake. Right now, I'm telling you, Jake, you're getting the first NFT,
How the kids doing, man? By the way,
first one.
who's acting more crazy, the younger or the older? Gonna ask. Jake's doing it all. Working, trading, raising the fam. It's good stuff. Good
Savage,
stuff. I got this.
absolute beast.
So yeah, the bear market. That's something I'm definitely looking at more recently than ever, just because we can almost anticipate something's gonna happen. It's just a matter of when at
Well,
this
that's the
point.
thing, right? Like, always the oldest. Um, setting the example. Um, but that's the thing is, last week I mentioned it in one of the clips. You can watch it on YouTube. Is the FANG stocks, which are Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Google. You could throw Netflix even in there, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
These stocks have
They
basically
used to be.
been hiding not a great market. Like
Mm-hmm.
the market is not great right now. It hasn't been doing that great for the last month, but you see the FANG stocks have been. It kind of hides that there's actually industries in a bear market right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you type in Nate when you get a chance
Yep.
XBI,
Yep. Yep.
this is a biotech index. And so when you look at the biotechs in this index, the biotechs are down like 30%. That's a sector of the market that's in
Oof.
a bear market right now.
Yeah, they're taking a whack. They're up
So
what?
like there are industries that have been pulling back and are pulling back that are in a bear market right now. So until this bottoms out, then
Interesting.
biotechs are technically not all of them, but holistically are in a bear market right now.
Mm.
So just because Facebook keeps making new highs or whatever stock you're looking at, there are bear markets going on.
Yeah. And that's important to note because, I mean, we are talking about it right now and trying to figure out where's the growth stocks, opportunities, or even because the growth is getting beat up, right? I mean, we kind of talked about, the biotech farm kind of taking a hit now as well. But last week and the week before, fire, they were kind of on fire. But as we're moving forward, I mean, another one that I've been looking at is Tilray. This is a pretty interesting stock too. That has some opportunity, some growth. They're traditionally been around cannabis and looking at some opportunities to look at a merger, but also more importantly, look at growth opportunity. They're going to be one of the bigger players in the trade here pretty soon as they're looking at merger and acquisitions. So another market to start looking at is Biden starting to make his endeavors and forays into the marketplace through his funds that he wants to pump through the Senate and so forth. So some opportunities there that I think are kind of bare, but not block, um, but potential growth stock as we're looking at a couple different options moving forward. That was a complete sidebar, but it just reminded me.
Yeah, so like we mentioned it earlier too, bef- before the stream messed up and we reset it, but seeing sectors of the market pull back is really, really healthy. So last week I kind of mentioned like, is the stock market in a bubble? What's going on? And so having sectors of the market pull back while others aren't is a really good sign for the overall health. Everything's making new highs. That's really unhealthy
It's
for
scary.
the very unhealthy. It's nice because you can almost always win, which everybody was doing from January to February because everything was just always going up. Still
Right.
streaming?
Yep, yep.
Okay. It froze on my end.
Yeah, Twitch.
But it's good to see sectors pull back, like seeing 6 people in the chat. Let's go. This is a record. We have yet to have 6 people in the chat at once.
It's good, it's good. Got multi-stream going, so anybody on YouTube or Facebook, thanks for hopping on.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate it. Please, we're always talking about topics about the stock market, but if you have questions, please type it in the chat so we see it and we can answer anything. Yeah, we can give you our perspective, not really what to buy, but our perspective on it.
I saw Ian pop in. How we doing? Abuelo. Any thoughts? Please let us know. Definitely want to try to figure out what you guys are looking at in particular. Somebody said penny stocks last week. They're heavily investing in penny stocks, a contact I have, and I don't know, man. I don't know about penny stocks these days. There's a lot of other
Yeah,
opportunities.
it's hard.
I think that you don't really have to play the pennies right now. We were talking about beat up, kind of focusing our efforts now on beat up and value stocks as we're moving forward. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so it's good, but just to what we just said, it's healthy that industries and sectors of the market are pulling back. This is very healthy. Um, I was watching or I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was someone kind of doing analysis about the last 4 first-year bull markets. So he was considering 2020 to be the first year of a new bull market. It was like 2009, I think, right after the housing crash, after the dot-com bubble, and another one from like 1970s, I think, or 60s. And so what happened is, like, if you look at the S&P 500, I don't know what the math is on that, but when you actually do the math, if we're talking about a low in 2020, we went from 218 to 420. That's a crazy, crazy, crazy growth.
Oh yeah,
And
the 5 year
so,
chart looks it's pretty interesting.
yeah, with that big pullback. But that's just like basically what this video get back on topic. This video said the second year of all these four first year bull markets, which we're assuming last year was one. Ooh, that was nice. The
Look like a little
first
Jake
year of
Paul. No,
those.
who's Logan Paul? I don't know who's fighting these days. Let's go.
That was funny. The first year of a bull market, I mean, the second year of a bull market was always down. Of the last four second years of a bull market, which we're assuming 2021 is the second year of a new bull market. And so we can probably expect it to be harder to pick stocks right now. You know, it's not going to be as easy as last year where no matter what you bought went up. Like, we're just not going to be,
Right.
it's
Gotta
not
be
going to be
picky.
that kind of market right now.
Yeah, we're gonna have to be picky and strategic about it.
Yep. And so the market being down is really good for your long-term investing, because that means, oh, we're actually showing what past years in history had shown, um, and we're not going to be in this. We're potentially not going to be in this super long-term, like, you know, some people say like 10-year bear market, because we're actually seeing things pull back right now. And so I would say expect some more volatility in 2021. And
Yeah,
picking,
people are gonna
you know,
start
finding.
pulling money out and so forth. We were just also talking earlier about
Yep.
institutional investors, and some other folks are starting to pull out in the waves. Not as much.
Yeah, so there's some news that came out this last week that it's in the last 40 years, we've seen the largest pullback in hedge fund investing. So what that means is hedge funds, they have money from investors and then they invest that money in the stock market. And so for the first time in first time in like 40 years, we hit the largest amount of money being pulled out of the market. And it's
Which
because
is insane.
what's happened this year, like a crazy run happened in the market. So this is like something like this should be happening, you know? Obviously it sucks, but something like this should be happening. And so I think that's just to keep in mind when you're thinking about buying stocks right now is I wouldn't be buying any growth stocks that are at all-time highs right now or
Nope.
close to all-time highs. That's just those are not the purchases I'm making right now in the
Nope.
market.
Nope. I'm looking for those strong pullbacks. Maybe the earnings reports didn't come back as strong as some thought. But ironically, there's a lot of people that have, a lot of companies that have had good earning reports,
Hmm.
right? But they're like off by, one of their, oh man, I kind of wanted that. But they might be off, they're up by 10 cents instead of, 30 cents or whatever. And for whatever reason, like Netflix, for example, I mean, they were down in terms of subscriptions by
Gotcha.
millions. I think they only had 2 million and they were expecting 8 million. They were down, but revenue was up, like EPS was up. And so it's pretty interesting to see, even though people or businesses are making money. But I think this also goes back to what you were saying about people pulling money out, traditional investors and hedge funds, because they don't know what's going to happen.
Yep. And what you have to keep in mind is for some of these stocks like Netflix went up last year because of the
Yeah,
huge
COVID,
growth in new subscribers because COVID happened, everybody was
right?
at home. And so when you think about stocks, you can't always think about where they were. You just think about where they're going. So
Same
like
Wayne
the
Gretzky
big hedge
saying,
funds,
follow where the puck's going to go, not where it's at
yep.
right now.
So big hedge funds, they always they always value a company on where they're heading. So when you think about last year, think about Facebook, Google, think about Netflix, like subscribers went up, which will be next quarter. And so Netflix is going to have a really hard number that they have to hit on their earnings for Q3 or Q2, whatever the next one is. And then what for Facebook, like Facebook saw a crazy amount of people advertising because everything shift to e-commerce. So are they going to be able to hit that number next quarter? Probably not. And so these are things you have to think about going into the next quarter of people have to try to grow when last year companies, specifically tech companies, saw crazy growth because of COVID.
Right.
So that's
I
why
think
people are
Zoom's going to
selling
be on
out
that
now.
list. Yeah. I'm kind of anticipating Zoom. Not, uh, I don't know. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think Zoom's going to be on that list. I think not surviving this year like they did last year. I mean, the growth
Oh
was
yeah, they're gonna
exponential, but
have crazy numbers that they have to comp this year on earnings. Like,
right,
there's no way they're gonna be even close to those numbers.
right,
With offices, like people are getting the vaccine. Like my company said, we'll probably go back around September.
yep,
Like that's soon.
yeah.
And
There's a
so when
lot of
all these
cities,
companies go back to the office, we're gonna be using, Zoom or whatever product we use, 3 times as less because we're in the office. So people are gonna start canceling their accounts. They're gonna downgrade their accounts. A lot of businesses are. And so these are things you have to think about going into next quarter. People have to comp their last year results, which is going to be really difficult. So that's why tech's, I think, pulling back right now. And so I would not be buying anything that I wouldn't be buying any tech stock or growth stocks that are at highs. I'm going to be
yeah,
looking for
they're
pullbacks.
all really high. I mean, Zoom, I think I actually had a pretty strong
Zoom
pullback.
pulled
Yeah,
back a lot. Yeah.
they're already
They're
coming
half,
back
I
down to
think.
earth. Yeah, 295
But their
PE ratio.
valuation is still crazy high.
Yeah, they're
And
86
so
billion.
with a high valuation, PE ratio on 131, plus
Yeah,
next quarter they're going to drastically miss earnings
right,
because people are going to be, they had so much growth last year when COVID happened
right.
that they're going to absolutely miss earnings like crazy. And so that's something you have to keep in mind for all these companies going
Hmm.
into the summer.
Yeah,
Their
it's
earnings
already
from the
telltale
from the
sign
months
right here,
before.
right? Stock underperforms Thursday when compared to competitors, right? So the people, like Microsoft, who's already well established, they just added on, right? Vertical integration, they added on Microsoft Teams, they're already working on it. They plugged it in. Zoom, their only platform is what they do, right? They don't have a diversified portfolio like Microsoft where they can pivot and say all of our income isn't based on this one software. Where Zoom, it's solely, exclusively that, right?
Yep.
So it's pretty interesting to see that. But definitely, I mean, I got this report here, slid 1.53%. Obviously, I think folks are looking at vaccine. California, for example, Governor Newsom said we're opening June 15th. I know a lot of cities are starting to go back, to the offices August, September, like you were saying. A lot of the companies are also looking at that. So
Your boy sweating over here. There's too many computers on in this room.
getting a little hot over there.
Yeah, I'm getting sweaty.
Yeah, hurry up and drink that vodka, man.
That's what's probably sweating me. Get me sweaty.
But I
It's
did want to bring up, some other items. We talked about the hedge funds and pulled up the article about Yellen, the interest rates, extreme sellers, as you
yeah.
were talking about before. The Nasdaq Composite dived 1.9, Dow Jones Industry rose slightly. So we're going to see some of this inverse happening
Yep.
sporadically as people are pushing and pulling the market. I think it's just very important. And there's a specific graph that you had as well that you wanted to highlight here, and specifically it's this record selling. It's a little small, sorry about that on the stream here.
There it is. Yep. So this was what I was talking about a second ago. This is a graph of hedge funds and how they're buying or selling in the markets. Ha! 3 people
Nice.
fail.
How we
And
doing,
so
new
this is
viewers?
a, what the heck? How did my
That'd be
spikes go
awesome,
away?
man.
Baloney. But yeah, so you see that little red circle on the chart. Any info on Airbnb has just been
Oh,
going down ever
yeah,
since I
that
bought it.
Airbnb.
Yeah, we've been talking about
Yeah,
growth, bro. Growth is struggling right now,
yeah.
and
This is
I
where I'm
think,
pivoting to dividend stocks, honestly.
yep, we mentioned it earlier, Jake. I'm not sure if you're in the stream or not, but
Yeah,
we kind of talked about the switch
that's
to,
right. I'm putting my money
out
in.
of growth and into value and dividend plays in the market.
Yeah,
So
until
just to
folks
name a
figure out what's going
couple,
on. Yeah, until the market kind of shakes itself out, specifically post-COVID, if I may call it that.
dang it.
Ooh, I totally messed up.
So yeah, kind of like how we said that these companies are gonna have to produce last quarters right when after COVID happened. So I don't know how Airbnb's numbers looked, a few months after COVID. I don't know if their rentals went up yet at that point.
Yeah, I'll pull them up in a sec.
But Yeah, I would start looking at stocks. Some that we mentioned earlier were AT&T, Nokia, Viacom, like the Coca-Colas of the world. These are the kind of stocks that I would start considering if they look like they're in a good spot.
Yeah, we pulled a few of them up, um, and they're pretty
But
good
to
dividends.
mention, you
Yeah.
want to keep on that chart real quick. I think
Yep.
that chart's super important, just to like give people that context.
Can we zoom in on it? Come on now.
It's all good. I think people can see it decently enough. So that red little circle is showing that hedge funds are selling for their clients the most since 2008. So the down is selling and the up is buying. So it's the largest it's been since, I guess, the dot com bubble, or not the dot com bubble, the housing crash, housing market crash.
Yeah, so
Um, so so this is something just to pay attention to. This is kind of where we're seeing money rotate out of growth stocks. People bought so much. Let's see on that chart. So you can see on the graph back in about March of 2020, you see that big jump. So all these hedge funds bought all these tech companies and anything else that was cheap at that time, right after COVID. So the Facebooks, the Googles, all the things that pulled back, and these hedge funds told their clients, like, you want to double down if you already have money in this stock. How to add to that? Yeah, so basically, like these big clients, these hedge funds, the hedge funds are like, you know what? You're up 150% on this stock. I think you should consider taking some of your profits out. It's been over a year, so your capital gains is smaller, things like that.
yep.
And so that's what that little red circle is. It's the hedge funds selling their clients or pulling money out of the market for their big client. So this is what's really impacting the market right now and why we're seeing such a pullback in basically anything growth. 90% of growth has pulled back quite a bit over the last month and a half.
Ooh, that guy almost got me. Oh, that was weird.
Ah, oh,
Let's
dang
hold
it.
that. I didn't see him pull it. Yeah, the rolling 4 week average flows for hedge funds were the lowest in history of the series, which dates back to 2008. So, yeah, as we're looking at this, there's a specific quote in here that I liked, but ADP reported 742,000 rise in private sector payrolls. That's a part of a separate article. But this is going to be interesting too, though, right? The interest rate hike, we've seen that,
Yep.
we've heard it. So depending how this plays out, Jay Powell in particular, it's interesting because Janet Yellen used to sit in the seat that Powell's in,
Mm-hmm.
and
And
we were
she's kind of talking for him right now, which I don't think they're liking.
yeah, and I don't think that's healthy, right? I mean, we
Mm-mm.
kind of know what happened last time, but a 10-year yield inflation, I mean, that's something also to be looking at. That tells the health of the market. 10-year note, the bonds, and that I think we might even see people starting to pour back into the traditional CDs and so forth in the bond market as we're moving
Yeah, depending
forward.
on what happens, there could definitely
Yeah,
be some upside in the bond market. Right now, the people in the bond market are getting destroyed, but depending
right.
on what happens, there could be some more movement to the bond market. But for the time being, it's not the best place to be. But yeah, so to go on kind of the remarks that that article is Janet Yellen on Monday was like, I think we're gonna have to start raising interest rates, which is people got nervous because what does that mean? Interest rates are all time low. That's what's helped the growth stocks.
Right.
It's cheap financing for you to grow. You can borrow a bunch of money to grow essentially. And so that was really scary for a lot of people. And that's when the market pulled back a little bit. And then on Wednesday, I think Powell ended up saying like, nope, there's
The
still a lot
market's
of work to be
overheating.
done. Well, she was like, the market's overheating. That's why we need to raise interest rates.
Right.
But Powell was like, there's still a lot of work to be done. We're not thinking about raising rates yet, which is the opposite of what Yellen said. So now they're kind of contradicting each other. So now it's like, what's happening? What's actually going to go on? And that's why a lot of people are getting scared in the markets because we don't really know what's going to happen. That could, if interest rates go up a point or two, like, are
We're
people going to
looking at
buy as many houses? Like, how does
right.
that financing for companies? People are going to buy less cars, which all this demand that's happening right now because of low interest rates. it's going to impact the entire market.
Right. And we might have saw that, right? We were talking about Rocket yesterday. Are people
Yep.
thinking about this ahead of the
Yep.
curve, right?
Yep.
Rocket released their earnings.
Ooh, that was
Oh,
disgusting.
didn't expect that save.
I had to hush up for a second and make sure I got that.
Oh boy. I think we're out
But
this
yeah,
way.
like Rocket, they had their highest, I think, their highest amount of loan applications this last quarter. But now people, with all the interest rates possibly going up, they're like, is this the peak? Is
Yeah.
this the peak of people putting in applications for homes and this crazy bull market that's happening? And so I think that's part of the reason why Rocket Mortgage pulled back
Well, that was
after
part of it.
beating.
Yeah, but also their loan ratios were a little off in terms of what they earn per loan that they write
Yeah,
off.
their margins
So
are really low.
they underwrite. Yeah, they had to fix that a little bit, and folks weren't happy about it. Investors weren't too stoked to hear that. But I mean, lumber prices are going up, right? Labor's always been pretty high. So, you know, are we building more homes? I don't know. Are people selling more homes? I don't know. There's a lot of bigger things at play here than just the stock market.
Yep. Kind of like Nate and I were talking earlier this week, and I shared some charts with him about like asset and bond purchases and how if you look at the graph, like the stock market over the last 20 years has basically gone up because like the chart of the Fed buying bonds and QE, basically the stock market has gone up with that. And so
Quantitative
there's a
easing.
lot of there's a lot of fear in the market right now as well that, you know, the Fed is going to slow down their bond purchasing or their or QE is going to slow down holistically. And so and that's also scaring people out of these companies that have run a few 100% over the last year because if the government slows down their purchasing, then that's going to affect the market because that in somewhat has been holding up parts of the market.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just a lot of fear right now, and that's why all these growth companies are pulling back. Um, but I think it's creating some opportunity to start thinking about small positions. So we kind of mention it every week, but one of one of the advice I would have is when you buy stocks is to buy it in say fourths of your what you eventually want to buy whole. So say you want to at the end of the day you like a stock and you eventually want to get to $1,000 worth of stock. So my advice would be buy $250 worth of that stock the first time you buy it. And then depending on the chart, if it say it goes down 10%, consider buying another $250. So that's how you basically want to be buying any stock. It's called dollar averaging up or dollar averaging down. So you're either buying more as it goes up because it looks really strong, or you're continuously buying on the way down because you're averaging down your average cost of purchase. And so some of these growth stocks that like one for on my mind is PLTR. So this is something we talk about quite a bit. They're super long term. One of the stocks that Kathy Wood likes quite a bit, and I think she's a smart lady, and she has kind of a 5 year time frame for these guys. She's like, in the next 5 years, we're expecting this company to be really successful. So that's the kind of time frame I think about these guys. So
Mm-hmm.
they're about at like support level right now. I think they're around 19 to $20.
Yeah.
So this is something that I'm starting to eye to buy my first fourth of my total position. So I'm gonna wait until they do earnings and see if they break below support. They break below support and head maybe to that 17, $16 range. That's where I'm gonna consider buying my first fourth position in that stock. And if they go down some more, I'll buy some more. If it seems like they're putting in a base, then I'll end up, maybe buying some as it sits at somewhat of a bottom. So that's one I'm keeping an eye on. This growth stock that's had a pretty nasty pullback. Are there any growth stocks that you've been looking at, Nate?
Um, I'm buying a lot of. Let me. I got too many positions right now. I'm doing a lot of covers or calls rather. I keep calling them covers. So I've been buying a lot of those. Yeah, I'm actually taking a lot of my money out of the travel stocks right now.
Well, you
So
did pretty
I
well on
was
them, right?
Yeah, very bullish. It was a gutsy call, but the price was
Paid
right.
off.
Yeah, price was right to buy. But I'm looking at similar. I do have some PLTRs, some Nokia. Trying to go through what I got here. I'm actually looking at Ford as well as a potential opportunity. They're starting to invest in some
Forgot I did.
technologies that I'm liking at. See what they're at.
Yeah, I remember you talking about Jake a couple weeks ago. You said you bought it, and we were talking about it, and kind of mentioned like they're at that support level they might break below. And so, yeah, I would say if they break below $19 the next couple weeks and head to 17 or $16, you might want to consider averaging down if you want to grow your position.
Yeah, that's typically what we do. I've done that, but yeah, I'm trying to. I haven't really been buying a whole lot right now. I've just been holding
Yeah, me neither.
and kind of waiting it out to see what happens. But
Oh,
um,
I gotta take this beanie off, bro. I'm like burning up.
take it off.
My hair about to be crazy, but who cares? Sweating up
Just
this.
line that up for him. But yeah, I've been pretty hesitant on purchasing anything. I've been going a little bullish on the inverse that we've been talking about, SQQ, SPXS, while the prices are kind of lowering, dollar down, dollar averaging down on
Oh,
those.
nice.
Um,
Nice shake, nice buy.
yeah, Ford's a good one, man. I'm slowly picking them up. They've been surprisingly surprising. Sales up 65% in April, but it's the darn chips and semiconductor stuff that's worrying me a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah, I
But
saw
they're
an
also,
article yesterday that said there's a truck shortage right now.
yep, yep. And so that's a little worrisome. But I've been looking more and more at the car manufacturers and so forth, just because there's going to be a heavy investment from the Biden administration very soon, and specifically, folks are starting to invest in the EV market now as well. So, and then we talked a
Yeah.
little bit about Charge Point last week. I'm a little disappointed that they didn't do too well. I did go in a little bit on them. Been buying them up little by little.
Yeah, I'll be averaging down on those guys. I think I'm like still like 5-10% up, but I'll be averaging down if it goes lower.
Yeah.
As well as with TB or TPGY. I always say it wrong, but the European version of Charge Point.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it's tough, Jake, man. Like, you don't know, you don't know. I wish I would have put money into. I was up 200+% at the beginning of the year just because COVID. Now we just got to be a little more careful what we're selecting as we're moving forward. But Jets, I've held on to that for over a year. A lot of it has to do with the capital gains tax purposes that I'm holding on. I still think they have opportunity to grow a little bit. AMBL, I bought some of that a while back. That's American Battery Metals. I'll pull them up. It's an OTC though, I should mention.
Oh yeah.
A little more risque, but
They had a
them and a
nasty
couple.
pullback, right? Didn't they?
Yeah, yeah. They let's see, back in March they were up at like $4. I bought them a little after that when they hit about $2. That's when I picked them up. So I'm down a little bit on them, but I'm really banking a little bit on the green tech industry. Making it, I think that's where the money's going to start flowing. Not to say that I'm telling people to buy that, but that's what I'm looking at this time. I'm just kind of waiting on the market. I'm playing the bear market right now, and some of the airlines. I'm either averaging
Want
up
to
or down.
become famous? Look at this thing. You see
Oh,
this
thanks. I
comment?
appreciate that. Yeah. Totally going to click that. Everybody wants to be
Lol.
famous.
Delete that freaking comment, bro.
Let's see if
Can you?
I can reply to it. Yeah, I think I can delete it. I just have to open it up in Twitch. Um, yeah, I mean, shifting gears here really quick, just because it's kind of popping up
Click on
everywhere.
it. Don't click on it, Jake. It's not worth it.
Pull it up. You want me to see what we could pull up here?
And then that's when you had the $7,000 purchase on your credit card.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Someone bought a someone brought him to used car.
But Cinemark and AMC, I've been looking at those a little more closely as well, as they're starting to pick back up. Just because people are going to start going back to the theaters. Um, there's been some.
Where was AMC pre-COVID?
Let's find that yet. I mean, they're
Curious.
well, January 20. It's been over a year. I have to go back. That's freaking crazy. 13 roughly. Back 2019, they were already losing steam
Yeah, they
just
were
because that's when
struggling.
Netflix and everybody else was dominating.
Yeah.
A red box. I mean, it's just they started to get killed anyway. Um, but Cinemark, they're pretty solid in the last few months. They're starting to pick up. They've been reinvesting back into their stuff. But yeah, 2020, and then before that, but there's this. Yeah, I mean, they just got murdered when
Where was
COVID hit.
Cinemark pre-COVID?
30 plus, pretty steadily. I mean, they're always in the 30 to $40 range. And so I've been looking at that.
Oh, that goal was saucy, bro.
I
Oh, you're
wasn't
not even
in.
playing with me. I didn't realize.
I got booted. This is the problem when you're trying to stream play games and
That's true. I'll leave
keep
the
stuff
match.
going. No, you're
Oh,
good.
wait.
Hop back in.
Oh, you're
Hop back in.
joining.
But the beauty of Cinemark, which I'm kind of starting to buy them up, is they also have dividend play. I failed to mention that
Yeah, I was
earlier.
gonna ask what was their dividend.
Yeah, they're at a little over 6.5% at this point.
Oh shoot, that's
Oh,
a really good
Dragon,
dividend
gotta
actually.
play a little better than that. Says you, bro. Smack talking the game. I'll play this one out a little bit more.
I'm literally 5 times better than you'll ever be, lol.
Oh, I
Oh,
went to
nice
go make that save.
punch.
I was about to make a save on that bad boy. What is going on?
I blocked him for you.
Jesus. These guys are talking smack. It's hilarious. I'm back. I got nothing for that.
Man, messages guy is now vacuuming. I can't hear, lol.
It's all good, man. I'll just scroll up and down so you can see what we're looking at. But yeah, I think they're going to make a comeback. Cinemark. They haven't hit headlines too heavily. Obviously, you can see here, but I think they have a good opportunity to start reinvesting. They were down, but they've been pretty solid, which is kind
I'll
of
have
why
to
I
look at
started messing with
their
them.
revenue because I like a 6% dividend. That's pretty nice.
Yeah,
I've been trying to look at more of these like 5 to 6% dividend plays right now.
I mean market cap's not too high right now, 2.5 billion, but that's on $20 a share. You know, the volume's not trading too heavy. So I think it's going to be, I don't want to call it a sleeper, but sleeper stock. It's just going to maintain and steadily grow over time. Hopefully back to where they were. And I can't remember where I saw it. I think they were trying to strike a deal with some folks about getting some new content. And there's a movie.
Oh, yeah, right.
No way. That was being released, and Cinemark was touting it as being kind of the comeback movie. So, but they were up $1 today. So definitely, I think a decent one there. But yeah, shifting gears a little bit. Pretty interesting stuff with NFTs. You know, we talked a little bit about Vive rather, last week.
DD.
That AFK move right there. But this autograph team, dude, kicking off. This is pretty darn interesting what they have. Brady's kicking it with a couple other folks here, and the core team that they have built around this is just insanely impeccable.
How does it work?
I'm just looking at it. Well, Tom Brady's the
Oh,
founder chairman, right? It's TB12. He's been TB Tampa Bay Tom Brady number 12. He's just been kicking that so hard this last bit, trying to figure out how they can start ramping that brand up. And so, is it not switching my screen? Might have to close out of some of these bad boys. For some reason it's not showing here. There we go. It's a bit more delayed than I thought.
got him.
So it's
Whatever.
NFTs. They want to sell autographs, virtual cards, and all that stuff. Launching here
Gotcha.
pretty soon. But it's definitely something to look at. Founded in early 2021. Brady knows what he's doing when it comes to marketing. He just signed a contract with the Bucks for what, 4 years at the end of the season. Oh, that block
Oh, yeah.
at the end of the season. He's not going anywhere. You know, Gronk came out with his little NFTs as well, but there's just so many of them right now.
Yep.
It's hard to choose what's legit and what's not at this point in time. But looking at the board members and advisors, you got CEO of DraftKings on board, Cameo, Warriors, and Dodgers owner, the co-founder.
So I'm
As
confused
well,
what they're doing. They're just doing NFL basketball player cards and stuff like that.
yeah, and they want to
NFT
focus
version.
more on branding. Yeah, yeah. So I've been eyeing them for a little bit. I'm waiting for them to launch. They haven't officially kicked off anything, but I don't know, man. I'm kind of intrigued on this one. And then
Right.
with Vive, is there anything that anything new popping on that app? By the way,
Not much of an update. I mean, we can get
looks like
to
I changed my mind.
we can transition to crypto,
Yeah,
crypto talk,
because I can't play
kind
this
of in
game
the
in.
NFT kind of world.
A lot of the content I like to bring up, I like to point out here. They're hiring, by the way. If anybody wants to go into the NFT world,
I like that company. Though. I'll have to keep an eye on when they launch.
yeah, I signed up. I'm curious to see what they got going on.
Yeah, the only NFTs I'm interested in that things that people will be interested past a couple years
Mm-hmm.
because people are buying these things right now that in 12 months no one's gonna give a
They're
care
gonna
about some of
fucking
this stuff.
slump. Yeah, it's just a hot thing right now. I mean, the NFT selling for
30 million or
millions,
something.
man. Yeah, you see the digital pic that they had of the sold for a couple million. It's literally pixelated. Ooh, that's good.
Oh, this sucker. Let's play some Wrath, bro. Let's change it up.
Yeah, this is kind of hard.
Oh, actually, no. Tournament. Let's do
You got
tournament.
tourney to play? All right.
Got 30 seconds.
Oh, we in. We in like.
Yeah, let's see how we can do. But kind of going to like the crypto talk. I know
I bought a crap
we've been
ton this
talking
weekend.
we've been talking a lot.
I bought a crap ton. And it wasn't Dogecoin, by the way. What's Doge? Doge is at, where are they at? 71 cents? They're up a cent since we started talking an hour ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, this
Up
Dogecoin.
up a cent means less at 71 cents compared to 5 cents, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. But no, man, I've been buying. I bought way too much this weekend of the
Anything
crypto.
that you want to highlight?
Yeah, man, there's a couple. So Bittrex, they're the crypto wallet that I just downloaded this weekend. Been hearing a lot of talk about uh, the Digibyte is one in particular. We've been looking at this company called Humble. They did a reverse IPO or merger rather, um, and they're predominantly focused on providing services in Latin America. And I think, Chill, you know more about this than I do, but they're trying to provide a payment service through blockchain and specifically focus on the
Are you talking about
underserved
Humble?
areas. Yeah, Humble.
Yeah.
and they're going to be partnering with Digi here to be accepting crypto as one of their currencies. And so this is definitely a longer term play that I've been looking at, trying to figure out. Going in, currently they're at 15 cents. I bought in at about 14 on Monday night. So I won't say how much I bought, but it's definitely one that I've been looking at. Pull it up here. Whoops, that's not where you put it. But there's also this great website, BTC Manager. What is going down?
It's going down.
My thing don't want to. Oh, there we go. We're going to have to focus for this one. I'm sorry, folks, once it starts going. But yeah, Digibyte, they're partnering with a Humble. So it's very interesting to see what they're going to be doing, pulling off. This is definitely a longer term play right here. But between Binance, Coinbase, it's currently not available as it's been tweeted here as of March 30th.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to switch here pretty soon. These folks, there's also one called Cordana, ADA is their ticker trade. That also probably will make an appearance here pretty soon. There's just a lot of talk about it with an opportunity there.
Do this now.
But
Yeah, while
crypto's
we
making a
wait,
move, man.
Cardona is one that I really like. So I
Mm-hmm.
talked about it last week a little bit about my thoughts about the crypto space in general. Kind of like Bitcoins is kind of like more store of value. People call it gold 2.0, however people want to define it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have things like Ethereum, Cardona, uh,
Or Cardano, my bad.
Atmos, I think is what it's called. Is it Atmos? I can't remember. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
to say it wrong. But these are kind of platforms that people are going to build a future on, essentially. So on the blockchain network, and so Cardona specifically, they have a different model than Ethereum. So Ethereum's model is whenever somebody creates a block on their network, more Ethereum coins or tokens go into are created. So they're kind of like a supply and demand is a way to think about it, or as more people adopt, more coins are created. So it's like they're building it as scale allows it to.
To prevent inflation and
Yep, it's a deflationary, basically, tactic. When you
which
compare
is
that to
smart.
something like Cardona, they have a really big, they have a really big, they have a lot of tokens. So it's like something billion, like 28 billion or something. And so with Cardona, their whole strategy is for scale. So what people are complaining a lot about with Ethereum right now is Ethereum's, it's super expensive to make transactions on. And that's mostly because the supply, right? Like there's a smaller supply, the price is higher. So that, kind of means that people call it gas or whatever, but it basically costs more expensive. It costs a lot right now to make transactions on that market. And so
It
that's
doesn't make
why,
sense to do business. Yeah.
yep. And so that's why I like Cardona a lot, and their model's a little bit different. But for them, they have a really big supply, which means that their costs are lower. If you were to compare the two markets, to Ethereum versus Cardona.
Right.
What's really interesting about Cardona is they're focusing on internationally more and developing countries.
That's what I like
So
about it. That's the
Africa,
opportunity.
India. This is the same thing why Nate and I like the stock called Humble that we were talking about earlier. They're basically like a digital wallet, digital everything for developing countries. But for them, they're building it for scale. So, and they're going after, trying to get governments and education
Yeah.
sectors and
They want the crypto to be a little more formalized.
yep.
Still decentralized, but have an actual backing behind it, of not just investors, but implementing the crypto.
Yep.
Because that's where we're stuck right now, right? Dogecoin, you buy it, who accepts it? Right?
Yep.
It's not an actual tradable currency or commodity at this point. it's been used as speculative market trading at this point until Mark Cuban says he's going to accept it for his basketball team, Mavericks. But
Yeah.
they're actually implementing this into a system within a system. So it's built as a more robust cryptocurrency with all the security backing, blockchain, etc. So I'm 100% bullish on this one, specifically why it's still affordable. So
Yeah, this is for sure. And kind of the price is lower because they have so many tokens on the market. And that's why the price is lower because the market cap can be higher. It's not that much. It's not too far behind Ethereum, in terms of top coins. It's like in the top 20 coins in
mm-hmm.
terms of market cap. But because they have so many tokens, the price is lower, even though they have a high market cap. So
Right.
this is probably right now, I think, probably my favorite crypto
Yeah, it's
as
got
of
a
right
lot of
now,
potential.
just because of the potential and how they're kind of what they're going after compared to what other coins.
Right.
And so they couple things that when Ethereum 2.0 launches, I think it's supposed to be this summer, it's going to catch up to Cardona's technology a little bit, but Cardona's technology is way ahead of Ethereum
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like how the speed at which they're able to process smart contracts and make things happen. So they have a really advanced technology. They just they just have a contract with actually Ethiopia for them to basically use their network on the blockchain to keep track of, I think, all the students and teachers in the country.
Yeah, they just secured
And
that contract too, or a
yep,
couple other ones.
yep. And so I think Cardona is one of the right now, based on how developed they are, is I think one of the best opportunities, long term opportunities that I think has still a ways to go.
Yeah,
That's
one
definitely
hundred
one of my
percent.
favorites.
So
See
yeah,
other.
I currently have 4 crypto, DG being one, ADA being the other that we just discussed. That's its trading ticker, if you will.
And then the other one I really like is this one's a little more speculative and earlier on, but it's called Cosmos.
Mm-hmm.
So Cosmos is really interesting. So they're kind of okay. It's so super strange to explain. I had to watch heck of videos to really even understand how it functions. So, kind of how Ethereum wants like apps or companies to use the Ethereum network to run off of, Cosmos wants crypto to run off their network. So they're like the internet of
Of
blockchain and
things.
crypto of things. Yeah, they're like the internet of things. So they're like the middleman, or they're like the main hub that all the cryptos run off of. I think is like the easiest way to describe it. So I think this has a lot of long-term potential if they can prove out what they're trying to build. Because you could think of like what's what's a website without Google?
Right.
Like some random company can't get found without Google. And so this is kind of like a loose way to explain the potential with it. But like this is like the middle this Cosmos would be the middleman between all the interaction for Bitcoin to Ethereum or Cardona to Ethereum. Like this is going to be the hub of all transactions,
Right.
like a safe and secure place for all the contracts to take place.
Right.
So I would those are my two favorite coins of what I've been researching pretty heavily for the last couple weeks.
Yeah. And between those, I did buy into Ethereum Classic as well. Put a little money into that a couple weeks ago, and it's taken off. I'll probably pull out of that pretty soon.
Yeah, that had a pretty nasty run the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. Trying
Pretty
to find it.
ridiculous. Yeah, I don't think
It's on Robinhood.
Robinhood. It's on Robinhood?
Yeah.
ETH?
Is it
I don't know
ETH?
ETC.
Ethereum or ETC?
I think it might be ETC. Yeah, you're right. Ethereum class.
So it does want to pull up.
Yeah, I honestly don't even know what Ethereum Classic is. I don't know.
Honestly, that's my opportunistic side kicking in. I read some stuff. I barely understand it, to be honest. But with ETC taking off, I put a couple bucks into it.
Makes for it to potentially lag the Ethereum breakouts that can
Yeah,
happen.
exactly. I'm thinking it's going to be the alternative to Ethereum. People are going to go to ETC instead of ETH, kind of like, when a stock splits. It's kind of how I'm envisioning it. And that is by no means my technical analysis of that. I'm just saying that's what I've been looking at. Um, put some money in, bought it at a good time. And Dogecoin. Hmm. But yeah, I think crypto, we'll keep talking about that, specifically the ones that we've labeled Digibyte, Cardona, and any others that you might think about. We could look into them, kind of figure out if they're a good opportunity. They're really bullish right now. And part of it's because of the meme stocks. But I think there's some diamonds in the rough, if you will, the longer term plays. And quite frankly, what I'm looking at right now for crypto is long-term plays. I don't want to pay capital gains tax on them. As we're moving forward on those. But apart from that, I did pull up Neo because I know Jake brought it up last week. I just want to do a quick analysis of it as we were talking about it. So yeah, they're going down volumes 83 million. But this was pretty interesting about cryptos and stocks. There's this article that came out. The big tech, crypto, and speculation rather around Neo and this correlation or inverse correlation on here. How they're seeing the cryptocurrency indexes, which they are thinking actually about coming out, I believe, with a crypto ETF. I know Canada's been dipping into that. I've been trying to figure out if folks are going to be here in the States are going to do it, but it's pretty interesting to see this little inverse correlation chart here between the average of these stocks and that of the cryptocurrencies that have been taken off and how those relate. And then obviously the lumber, we talked about lumber a little bit earlier. That's just fucking skyrocketing right now.
That's crazy.
We'll see if anything comes down from that, but I'm curious to see if the micro units are
Crazy chart. Lord Jesus.
Yeah, it's insane right now.
That's worrisome.
So, focus on game on this one.
Round 2 of the playoffs, we gotta get the dub. 5 people in the chat, let's go.
Anything you guys are checking out? Just out of pure curiosity. Anybody have a good week on their runs?
See if I can backflip this. Ah, dude.
Oof. Oof.
We should try to create an NFT this week. Create our first NFT and give it to
Down
Jake.
for that. Episode 4?
I think it's 5.
We count that first one.
I
was debating on that one.
I'm just going off the YouTube clips I make. I think I put 3 on the last one.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. I mean, we do all of our stuff in-house, so greatly appreciate folks if you leave us a little feedback. What you like, what you don't like, or YouTube clips. Are they too long, too short? If you want us to follow up on any of the YouTube clips, Twitch, we're also on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, everything.
We everywhere, bruh. Reddit. We out here.
Reddit and getting booted out of the chats, or the threads. Apparently we don't have
I don't know why they keep booting me, bro. Yeah, like, what the heck? Don't you want my great life advice in your chats? What the heck? Haters, bro.
Yeah, NIO is pretty interesting. I think they got a good chance. There's an article. I'm trying to find it. Thought I saved it.
This is the thing
Apparently,
with growth stocks right now. Like, you gotta be careful.
oh yeah, it's with Norway. That's what it was.
Yep, they're
So
going to
Norway
Europe.
in the European market, NIO, Neo
I think
is.
Norway is like they have the highest percentage of electric
They
vehicles. I
do.
think in
Yep, yep.
the
That's
world,
exactly
right?
why they went to go tap that market. So Jake, your Neos might pay off here if you still have them. I don't know if we sold them off or
I don't
what,
know,
but
man. Neo might go lower.
yeah, they
The
could.
only reason I say that is because of Tesla.
Mm,
They're a little bit off their highs, but I think Tesla with growth selling off, I think Tesla has an opportunity to sell off some more. And if Tesla sells off more, then all these other EV car companies are going to sell off because they always, if you look at their charts, they always follow Tesla.
right.
Tesla's like the
Well,
big boy on campus, and everyone follows them.
yeah. I mean, we saw Tesla sales start to taper down because, well, California predominantly being one of the markets that they're in, the rebates started going away. But the interesting thing here,
That was
that's
cool.
oh, I thought I blocked that. Oh,
I did, bruh. What you
let's see.
mean? Don't
Let's
test me.
go.
I just whiffed that one, but
Damn it! I just whacked that right into the goal.
I'm gonna hit that out.
Let's go.
Oh,
It's
what a
getting
save.
intense. Gotta
Good job,
focus.
teammate. I know. I was trying to hit her. I hit him in the right direction. Too far.
Oh,
Put that in. I was about to cry.
good hit. Oink.
I got no boosty for this. Oh, that was terrible. Terrible. Dang it. Just got whacked.
Mm.
Come on, get it there. I just don't have the sauce like I used to, bro. I don't play this game as much anymore. I feel like I
Oh,
used to have the nastiest side.
you did. It's been weeks, man.
I don't play this game anymore.
That's the hard part. I don't know what that guy was doing, but okay.
I don't that mole.
Let's go.
We got a decent teammate. You
Yep.
never know. Let's
Ooh.
go!
Go. Yeah, but NIO, it might have a good chance because it's their first endeavor into the European market. The country has some of the quote unquote richest EV subsidies anywhere. That's going to be the game changer right there. Because if they can acquire the subsidies that the U.S. government gave the feds and the state, right? One was a rebate, one was a
Oh my god.
one was a rebate. And the other was a tax deduction. I'm curious to see what Norway pulls off, but because the tax incentives, as they're quoting here, can be 1/3 of the cost of the vehicle. So Norway, according to the founder William Lee of NEO, Norway is the most EV-friendly country in the world.
Let's go! Oh,
Ooh,
you bastard.
that was a good save. Give him credit.
What a pass.
Oh, wanted that. I want it so bad.
Oh shoot, I need to back up. Wanna go?
Oh, my bad.
Oh
I fucked
no.
up. That was me.
Flop that one.
I should have went back, not up and back.
It's all good. Happens.
Hmm.
Bring up the chart. NIO.
And oh, let's come back here.
I'd say NIO is either gonna break down the next 2 weeks or it found the bottom based on the charts.
Mm.
Look at how it's not oversold yet, which is not a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
Daily. Oh! Oh shoot, they got 3 goals. Son of a gun. I thought they had 2.
Oh, the fake.
No!
Yep. Oh, let's go.
Trying to keep it up.
Oh, that's
No, that was
baloney.
bologna
That ball did
sandwich.
not hit the
Extra
ground.
cheese. Put the
Did
mayo
not
on
hit the
there. What
ground.
is this?
So yeah, the Norwegian Parliament has decided on a goal that all new cars sold by 2025 should be zero battery electric or zero emission vehicles. So granted, that is very ambitious. They all said that about the New Green Deal, um, and the
Wait,
Paris
did you
Agreement with all this stuff. So
did you mention about this that Neo's gonna receive electric vehicle subsidies in China, but Tesla won't?
I did not see that.
Yeah, just looking at news, Kathy Wood, because I think they like the stock.
Mm,
I think they own it too. She was like, basically, I don't know where she got this information from, but she said Neo will receive subsidies, but Tesla won't. That's a really big deal for Tesla's
wow.
in in Asia, well, China specifically. Yeah, China specific.
Let's look it up. Let's see what happens. Oh, that's an old article. Let's go back. Mm,
The only negative they reported earnings a couple weeks ago. Looks like.
I
Say
would
the
think.
only negative there is that I don't know if their sales went down, their expenses went up. The two,
Mm-hmm.
which is not
What up?
because their earnings per share was negative 23 compared to last quarter was 14.
Right. Yeah.
Expenses went up, like or they diluted shares.
Yeah. Well, operating income was up. Net profit margin was up. The net income came down. Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, it looks like they have
Oh,
some
Apex. Yeah.
support.
I heard rice. I heard. Yeah. 3v3.
What up, Rice? By the way,
Yeah. But I mean, they're flush with cash right now.
yeah, they got like 2 billion or
Oh my
something.
lord. 28 billion
The hell? How we got 28 billion from?
in a
I know they did a
quarter.
bunch of
Yeah.
share offerings. They like
Yeah.
basically because the funny story to Neo, which we'll see if they become like Tesla. So Neo almost went bankrupt in
Mm-hmm.
uh, basically right before COVID.
Right.
They were at like $3 a share. They almost went bankrupt. They were on
Mm-hmm.
the verge of going bankrupt, just kind of like what happened with Tesla, getting some popularity. So with all that cash on hand, that's going to be able to let them keep
Oh,
growing for a while.
yeah. Well, there's going to be an upfront cost to enter the new marketplace, but I think with the rebates and everything, they'll sell more. It'll be it'll be okay. It'll be okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they're either putting in a bottom here around 35, but if they break below 35, they're probably going to the 28 to 26 range or to the 20 range. I would just be on the lookout for that. If they break below 34 to 33, then they're probably going lower.
So where are you looking right now?
Oh, look at that. Look how fancy we are. Um, so this is a chart. So I've seen a lot of charts like this lately. Very unfortunate where they keep bouncing off their 200-day SMA right here. I've seen this many times and it has not looked very good for stocks lately, bouncing off the 200 SMA like this. Um, but right here they're testing the 200. So if they break below the 200, this is not a very good sign. There's probably some more downside to come. And with growth selling off, I could honestly, it hurts me to say this because I like some of these, but I could see more selling coming.
Yeah,
Even
definitely.
though numbers are going good, they just have moved up so. They went from $3 to $67. That's moving like a cryptocurrency. That's insane.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so if you look down here, they're not quite oversold yet, which is they did get oversold here, quite oversold here. So there's an opportunity.
Can you
Wax
zoom
some.
in a bit on that?
Yeah,
Curious to see. Thank you.
let me try to get these lower. So this is a 200-day SMA. They're testing it right now. Right, as you can see here, Lansky. The what the heck? Oh, so as you can see, this is not a straight line, but they hit the line back in the beginning of March. They went up, came back to test the line, hit the line basically again, came up, failed, breakout again, came down to test the line again. So this is really important. If they break below, what's the low here? I would say around 34 to $32. There's possibility for more downside, everybody. And when we look at the chart, back where the last time there was a lot of resistance, which is now support, this is around the $30 to 6 to 28 range. That's probably where the next support's going to be. If you do like this stock and you hold some, and if that breaks that support, I would look 30, 26 to 30 range at back. And I'll look at another Chinese EV stock that I like quite a bit too. So these guys have a lot of institutional. They basically create a cheaper version, like what Neo does or Tesla does. Um, so um, Alibaba is actually, I don't know if it's Alibaba or the CEO, but they're a big investor in this company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they have some big investors. I think they own like 15% of the company.
Yeah, I think so.
So I like this one. I like the charts on this one quite a bit. So they're not as big as Neo. They have less cells. So this is a weekly chart. So right now their RSI or their RSI is still at about 45, so they're pretty far from oversold. You kind of see this stair stepping down. This is not a great sign. So this was resistance. It came up, tested it, went down. This is called stair stepping downwards. This is not what you like to see in a stock. So they came down, hit resistance here, hit resist or support here, came up, tried to test resistance, couldn't break out, came back down, ironically, to this candle. They came down, they came back up, couldn't break out of this resistance, and now they've come down and they're at support line, kind of similar to Neo. They're basically right at this support line. So similar to Neo, if they break below this support, there's probably some more downside coming. And I think 17 is the lowest this stock has gone in the market. So if they break 26, I'll be looking at 22, say 20 range. So 20 to 22 bucks is probably where a pullback would come. If you look at down here at the MACD, I'm gonna have to do some more teaching, but MACD is basically another indicator for momentum and if something's in positive or negative momentum. So this purple line right here, when the stock is above that and this blue line is above the white line, that's a bullish trend. So that means it's going upwards. But when you see the blue line go below the white line and you start seeing it break below this purple, that's showing kind of a potential. We're basically in a downward cycle, which we can see on the chart kind of as I just laid out. So right now this is below the 0 mark, which is not a good sign if it stays down there. And the blue line is pretty significantly below the white line. So right now this is in a downtrend, and if it breaks the support, it has some more downward. And so this is kind of like this chart is basically every chart on the market, like anything growth related. They break down, they try to go and test resistance, like this one. PLTR, another one that I like that I'm considering buying in if they break down below support. They broke down, they tested resistance. Now they've just been hanging out here for a while. These guys report earnings next week, so I would keep an eye on them. Now they're at a really significant support line, which is basically like this breakout range originally, and now it's support. So they're basically on the edge of death, is what that looks like. So if they break below this, RSI is still pretty high. If you look at the MACD, it crossed over right here. It's still in the positive range, but the blue line being below the white line is not a good sign, and it's heading towards that zero and potentially heading negative. So that you see the green was positive indicator, it goes red, that's a negative indicator, and everything is headed downward, which is not what you see. So let me. So we have PLTR was a SPAC, so the lowest they were at was $10. I guess $8 there. So if they pull back, I would look at like the lowest of around 15 daily chart to get a better support and resistance. So it looks like there's quite a bit of different areas. So around $17 is going to be a support if they break below this around this $20. And then the next one from there is basically this $15 to $17 range is going to be a lot of support. And so we see on the daily we're getting RSIs getting pretty close to negative, which is good on the daily compared to the weekly. We're in negative territory already. We've been there for a while, but this blue line just recently broke below the white line. So if this blue line starts to, let me zoom in a little. If this blue line starts to gain a bigger gap downwards, that means we probably have a way to go. So XPEV, NEO, and PLTR, these are all stocks I'll be looking at if they break support and try to look for a new bottom that they find at the different. So don't want to blow your brains out too much right now. So that's enough technical charting at the moment. Because I know that was a lot for everyone. Maybe a dog went to the bathroom. While he's gone, I will might as well jump to the indexes. This is something I do every week, and I also post these videos on YouTube for you to see the clips. So we've been talking about the indexes every week now, and we've been kind of breaking down what we've been seeing in the charts. So last week, S&P 500. This is on the daily, so yeah. So I told you it's been hanging out around this top for a while, and very interestingly enough, at the end of the day, well, today all the indexes broke out. Some of them pulled back, some of them didn't. But for this one, it broke all-time highs, and we're kind of sitting there. So we could see a little more upside. We'll see. But I think the important thing to note, as I said, there's typically laggard industries, or I mean sectors or indexes. So the Dow Jones is something that always lags. Excuse me, everyone. And so we saw the Dow Jones break out this week, and this is kind of what we've been talking about of all these dividend and these values, typically value stocks or the non-growth industries stocks start to break out. And it's because Dow Jones broke out, and it broke out healthy. So we'll see if we get a retest of this line next week. Typically, when something breaks out, it'll go up, it'll test the breakout, and if it goes back up, that means we have a bit more upside. So we'll be looking for a potential test down here at all-time highs and for basically like boop and then goes up again. But the Dow Jones has a lot of good momentum. The market stays going up, or parts of the market stay going up. The RUT 2000 is not looking good. So basically since February, it's been kind of hanging out at these highs. This is not a good look for this stock at all, for this index. So I'm not feeling very confident in it, and we're starting to see this divergent market where the Dow is breaking out, but the RUT 2000 did, and those usually kind of start moving up together so far during the past year. So now we're seeing the Dow break up, but we're seeing the RUT stay flat. So that to me means that the RUT could potentially have a pullback relatively soon if it doesn't break out. The S&P 500 broke out, but that's because of stocks that are in the Dow. The Dow index and the S&P 500 ETFs share similar stocks in some industries, and so the S&P 500 got some love. The Dow Jones, and that's what's breaking out. So for uh, the Nasdaq, we saw it break out all-time highs the last couple weeks, but it's been sitting up here, and then it broke down and it tried to go back up, but something important. I have this trend line from a couple weeks ago. It hit the trend line. So if we see it hit this trend line and come back down, that's a bad sign. Similarly, like I said with the Dow Jones, is Dow Jones, if it comes down and bounces up, that's a positive sign. But if it breaks down, comes up and tests the resistance, and it doesn't break above it, that means more down. So Dow Jones, I'm kind of bullish on right now based on the breakout. The SPY, I personally think it's still going to be around this flat. I don't think there's much left upside left on the SPY, S&P 500, and I'm worried about the Russell 2000, and I'm worried about. I talked about it earlier, but one of the stocks that I like to play are these 3 time leveraged stocks for short term movement. And so I think it's the SQQQ or QQQS. That's basically shorting the Nasdaq, so you're betting on it going downwards. So that's something that I'm looking to buy in the next couple weeks. And I think that there's going to be Nasdaq. So that's a little breakdown. But like we keep mentioning, there's some divergence happening in the market. There's starting to be new sectors of the market that are winning, and then other sectors that aren't winning. One of the things we brought up earlier, but I want to bring it up one more time, real quick, is the S&P basically 500 biotech companies. So biotechs have had a crazy run. If we look at last, basically a year ago, it was at $97 a share for this ETF. So we've seen a massive run for all the, but it hit this back in the beginning of February, hit 174, and ever since then it's been breaking down. So I mentioned last week that we kept seeing it hit this support, come up. This looks just like the Neo chart, but without the breakdown below yet. But it came down, it tried to test all lines for the heck of it. It broke down, testing resistance, broke down. I'm telling y'all, write your resistance and support lines on your chart and you're going to see things in a whole different light. Broke down, tried to test. It's been hovering around here lately. And then this week we actually had a really bad, all the growth bio specifically. Some of the ones that I like is we had this, basically it hit this line 3 times since the end of, hit it once, hit it twice, hit 3 times. I thought it was going to break out here. Unfortunately, it hasn't. See, even tried to break below the MACD that I keep talking about. The green line went above the white line. It hit the 0, acting like it was going to break above, which would be a bullish sign. And ended up going back down below the white line. It's still in negative territory, so that's not for this. So there's a possibility. Bring up the chart. See, it went overbought twice. Basically double topped on the RSI, which is crazy. So here, this chart does not look. So let's put in some more support and resistance. So we have a lot of support around 122, which is basically where we're at, what we bounced off of, which is good. If we break below there, unless the market turns around, which this hurts my heart so much, but it looks like we're unless the market turns around at whole, we're looking like it might go back all the way to $100, which is 20% downside for biotech. So I would say 100 is probably the floor for biotechs, and it might sit there for a while. So just watch these different breakout points. 120, if it holds there, if it doesn't, we're going to look for a pullback somewhere between one. So this would be a potential buy zone if you want to be long biotechs, some of the names you like. But yep, I'll sum that up there. Nate, you back?
Yes, sir.
I just went on a 15
That was a
minute chart
beautiful,
rant,
beautiful
which,
chart rant, as you say. Lots of information. We're going to be doing this every week.
yep,
So,
be updated.
we'll mix it up a little bit. Different games. We did some Rocket League today. We could do a little slower paced raft so we can actually dive into some more content more concretely. We were a little all over the place today, but nonetheless, profound information, some insight from Chill Dill. And as we start moving forward, we will be pulling up some other stocks throughout the week. And yes, it hurts. That's been a good stock thus far. Not saying you need to buy it, but you probably should look at it. That said, SQQQ, as mentioned,
Yep.
it's at 1123 right now.
SQQQ.
That's
That's
what
what
we've
it
been
was.
looking at. I personally have bought some. I'm not telling you to buy any, but as the charts have indicated, Childale has explained it very eloquently. Pay attention to the resistance, the supports, and tune in every week because that's what we're going to be telling you. Pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. That said, let us know what you'd like us to stream, any games. We'll probably slow it down a little bit in the next ensuing weeks, but it's very important for us, for you guys to comment. We did NIO. I know, Jake, last week you were talking about that a little bit. Any other stocks you all are interested in, let us know. We're going to be focused more on the growth stocks as that starts picking up. Um, there's going to be some bearish opportunities, I think, for us to be picking up. And then overall, whatever questions, comments y'all have, it's definitely welcome. We're on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything and anything.
Stock Talk Game on everything. Just look up Stock
Exactly.
Talk Game and we'll be there.
Exactly. And we have to end it on this note because we opened with Dogecoin. Elon Musk decided to tweet out 3 hours ago Cybertruck prototype in New York this weekend. What do you think? Are you going to buy one, Dill? What's your sentiment on that?
Nah, bro. That's not my
You're going to pass
vibe.
on that ugly MF? Is that what?
I don't know who's buying that thing. They even came out with last week. They're gonna have a camper that you can attach to the back of it. It's like an ugly camper, just like the truck. I don't know
we'll,
what he's doing with that
we'll,
thing, but
we'll pull that up next week. We'll do that next week. And then we're ending Dogecoin up 72 cents. It's up
it's
to
at 72.
72. So
The
just
next
because we're
24
streaming, it went up
hours.
2 cents.
There we go.
I like to think it
Every
is.
time you like and subscribe, Dogecoin goes up a cent. You know, I can't verify that fact, but just assume that's the truth.
It's ticking, it's going. So thank y'all for tuning in. Dill, sign us out, please.
Again, we appreciate y'all for tuning in like always. Please like, subscribe, tell your friends. We want to bring as much value to you as possible, and with the market kind of coming in turbulent times, we want to share some good stock advice. We are not financial advisors, remember, but we'll give you our own perspectives on the market. But we appreciate you guys. Please tune back in every Friday, 7 p.m. PST. I'm on Texas time, so 9 p.m. Central time and 10 p.m. on the East Coast. So we appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend. Go out and have some fun.